Man, I just can't get enough of Battle for Bikini Bottom. The freedom, the music, and the pure love of the source material make it not just a wonderful license game, but an absolutely amazing experience. One to be enjoyed by people who are fans of SpongeBob and people who are fans of video games alike. It's an amazing 3D platformer with or without the SpongeBob theme. But I remember another game by Heavy Iron Studios. One I recall liking as a kid, but never played all the way through. What was the name? Huh. Wonder who that could be. Hey, what are you doing here?
I got a package for you, sir.
What do you mean you got a package? I didn't order no package. Oh!
Well, it's yours now.
I wonder what this could be. You know, I haven't got a package in a very long time. No. No! The SpongeBob movie game. The spiritual successor to Battle for Bikini Bottom, for better or worse. It came out about a year after BFBB, and it was made in the same engine. You can tell because a lot of the animations, models, and enemy types are reused from... Are Mr. Krabs' feet in the ground? No wonder he needs help managing the restaurant. The poor man can't move! So the game loosely follows the plot of the movie. Mr. Krabs picks longtime employee and best friend Squidward to be the manager of the Krusty Krab 2. SpongeBob, being, let's face it, a little bit childish, granted he is the star of a children's TV show, gets really upset and goes to drink the pain away. I don't know about you. This is getting a little too real for me. And here we find our first level in the game. It already has a little bit more of a linear approach than Battle for Bikini Bottom, which had an interesting hub world full of things to do, and most of the time in the game you forged your own path and took much less of a handheld approach to how you explore and progress through the game. You know what's funny about this game besides the fact that it was released before the actual SpongeBob movie? They couldn't afford the license to use actual video from the movie, so they just used still frames. I mean, hell, even the Revenge of the Sith game had actual movie scenes and in-game cutscenes. Battle for Bikini Bottom had in-game cutscenes and it was in the same engine. It's not like you were in a rush to put the game out either, the movie wasn't even in theaters yet. Anyway, we'll press on. I'm ready, depression. Sounds like a bit of a summary of my life, if you know what I'm saying. Didn't know the SpongeBob movie game understood me on such a personal level. Okay, here we are at the Goofy Goober. You know, I really like the music here, I like the scenery, I like the aesthetic, and holy shit, the workers are literally trying to kill me! I don't remember that from the movie. Stay away from the alcohol, SpongeBob, or people in peanut suits will try to murder you. Let's talk about the enemy types in this game while we're here. They can mainly be described as the same few guys with different skins on them. And most of them reported directly from Battle for Bikini Bottom. And in Battle, there weren't a ton of enemy types either. But then again, combat wasn't as ham-fisted in your face as it is in this game. I guess if we're talking about combat, which we will a couple times because I really don't like it, you use your moves to fight guys. Problem is, there's not enough moves and there's way too many guys. There isn't really enough variety or work or anything interesting at all that justifies this much combat being in this game. They even have entire little challenges on the map devoted to killing hundreds of these dudes, and it's all the same boring enemy types that you already fight in droves on the main level. That also being said, like I said before, most of them you've already fought if you've played Battle for Bikini Bottom, but this time there's just 30 of them on the screen. Because in game developer sense, more is better. And you know, there are abilities in the game. SpongeBob has the Bubble Bowl, the Guitar Missile, an Uppercut, and a Spin, and then Patrick has a Spin, a Slam, a Sideways Cartwheel, and he can throw stuff. You know, gone are the days where you could lasso stuff and karate kick in midair as Sandy, I suppose. But seriously, this is one of those games where the developer just throws a bunch of stuff at you over and over again to pad time. Or because they ran out of other creative ideas and decided, you know, let's just throw this stuff in the game some more. I can recall literally the same scenario almost on every world. You know, whether you're sitting on a little platform while two of the enemy spawn machines shoot at you and you gotta use whatever level's gimmick ability to get to the machines and destroy them, or maybe, you know, you're platforming along on top of some hazardous liquid while a dude shoots projectiles at you, but you've already fought the same guy with 3 skins, and you're getting kind of upset this game doesn't have any cool platforming like the last one, and instead substitutes it for moving out of the way of projectiles while you jump forward in a straight line, or maybe they throw a conveyor belt on there, or maybe you gotta pause mid-fucking jump and wait for steam to blow out of a pipe, which I swear is like the biggest 3D platformer cliche from the early 2000s that you could think of, that this game uses so much. There is so much steam you gotta wait for. And then maybe, like I said, you do the same thing and you're on a conveyor belt. The whole thing seems really lazy and an effort to make the game last longer so they can charge their 50 or 60 bucks, but I digress. Maybe I'm being too cynical. So let's just play on. You know, you're going through the level, you got a chocolate river, employees trying to kill you with giant hammers and belches. Then you're introduced to something that seems harmless at first, right? You trade Goofy Goober tokens for new powers. In Battle for Bikini Bottom, the 2 new powers you got were unlocked through beating bosses. Pretty nifty idea, and, you know, seems like a pretty good way to progress through the game, if I do say so myself. And in well-designed worlds, with plenty of stuff to do, and varied gameplay, and spatulas that are actually interesting to get, plus spatula requirements being available way ahead of time, it was fun to play through the game, and it wasn't a broken mess that made you backtrack or resent the game because you had to go back and do mega uninteresting and monotonous challenges to meet a requirement. Take this great system that Battle had and bastardize it, and that's what you get in the movie game. So Mindy gives you an ability for tokens. Being the first level in the game, you already have enough tokens to progress. Neat. Seems like the door world being open with spatulas from Battle for Bikini Bottom, right? Wrong. So goddamn wrong. Before I explain that, let's move out of the Goofy Goober. Plankton steals Neptune's crown just like in the movie and gives it to a knick-knack shop owner and frames Mr. Krabs. Neptune gets pissed, he's gonna zap Mr. Krabs, but Mindy says the boys will get the crown back. Off go SpongeBob and Patrick, and this is where the game stops being fun. They put you in the paddy wagon. Cool, it was in the movie for a tiny bit, and the controls are kinda ass, but surely they won't make this a major mechanic in the game, right? Right?
Oh, yes, they would.
And this is where a lot of issues that the game has come to light. The driving levels and the sliding levels. Remember when I talked about how this game makes mechanics that aren't inherently interesting on their own and makes them huge parts of the game? Well, here it goes again. Slides were in Battle for Bikini Bottom, but listen real quick. Whole worlds were not slides. There may have been one spatula that was a big slide, but nothing like this. This game basically has 2 driving sections where the controls suck, the challenges aren't fun or rewarding, and the ring challenges require prior knowledge of where the rings are going to be or you just lose. Over and over and over again. The only difference is in one you drive a sandwich and in one you drive a bathtub. I honestly can't talk about how poorly these sections are designed enough, but with 2 time trials in every level and those oppressive ring challenges, it just feels like a chore to get the Goober tokens. The freedom you had in Battle for Bikini Bottom, along with the pure, intense variations of tasks you could complete, are gone in the movie game. They are replaced with this incessant backtracking you have to do that I swear the game does just to make you miserable. What, you need 50 Goober tokens to progress? Well, better go down the same slide 5 times. Best make sure you go directly through the middle of the rings too, because they don't work all the time. But to make it worse, they even make you do the ring challenges on normal levels as well, but this time with the awful guitar missile thing that replaced the cruise bubble. And oh my god, do these challenges reek. Most of the time, just like the normal ring challenges, you need to have prior knowledge of where the ring is to possibly make it there in time. What sucks about this game is the potential to be just as good as Battle for Bikini Bottom is there. The music is good, the set pieces on the normal levels are unique, Patrick's platforming challenges are really fun, and the movie has excellent source material to play off of. However, it just feels rushed and incomplete with entire sections of the game that only seem to be present to pad the length. I mean, look at this! They had a whole level for the monster pit and it looks cool! Going inside monsters' mouths and fighting some genuinely unique creatures while getting toxic goo sprayed at you. This game has so many chances to excel and it just doesn't. Because fun and interesting things like this don't make it into the spotlight, and instead old gaming cliches like patiently waiting for steam to stop blowing so you can make it across the platform, or moving across conveyor belts on lava while someone shoots slow-moving projectiles at you, or these horrendously programmed wall jumping sections do make it in there too. And the game suffers because of them even in the normal non-slidey, non-driving stages. And because instead of trying new things, this game decides to throw the same things at you just in higher numbers. I found myself enjoying this game less and less until it got to the point that it felt like a chore to play, especially when I got to a new level and had to do a ton of backtracking through the boring slide and driving levels, just to move forward into a level I know I'm going to be disappointed in. In some cases, you had to backtrack before doing a driving level. It's like this game isn't even trying to be fun anymore. If you're going to make a linear game, make a linear game. Don't try to hold on to your past successes and pretend like this game is even fit to lick Battle for Bikini Bottom's boots. Moving on with the plot of the movie, you leave Bikini Bottom, which entails a driving level and a sliding level back to back. Then the paddy wagon is stolen and you break into a biker bar to steal back the keys. Of course everyone in there is hostile because they're on a bubble-blowing baby hunt and they don't know how to weed them out. Here, you meet one of the truly unique enemies in the game that wasn't in battle in some form, Spinny Dogman. Now, don't get too excited because the game will throw a billion of these at you with different skins throughout the game, so be prepared to be sick of it before you even leave this level. So, you battle through the bar, and now we're in a giant room filled with lava? What, is the Legion of Doom hiding in this biker bar, armed with missile launchers and rabid worms? Who in their right mind was designing this bar and said, you know what the guests would really love? To be in extremely close proximity to lava. I mean, when's the last time someone enjoyed a nice cold beverage only to think, man, I really wish something that was thousands of degrees could make my beer warm and also maybe peel the skin back from my limbs. Could you imagine some drunk guy just falling in? It's a safety hazard. Why, hello there, sir. I would like to procure one of your establishment's fine alcoholic beverage. Ah! Oh! My skin! It is burning! Why would you install lava on the floor? Ah! Anyway, now we gotta jump along some platforms floating on lava. Some more of the dog guys and bam, we're out. They have some challenges in here. The SpongeBob challenges and the Patrick platforming challenges are honestly a lot of fun. They're creative and they remind me of the dream sequences from Battle. But man, is the rest of the game just incredibly mediocre. But hey, we got ourselves a boss fight. And it's incredibly easy doing the same thing over and over again for 5 minutes. The boss fights in Battle at least look good and had some different phases, but this fight is literally just cartwheel around until you boop the monster's butt. I mean, you do fight the puppet and all, which is fun, but then it just devolves back into booping the monster's butt off the cliff. After that, you know, we just had to do some driving and maybe a slide. Oh boy! The driving section introduces a mechanic where the paths branch off, and on the first try, it can be fun, but it makes the ring challenges 100 times worse. Okay. Get the keys, unlock the locks. Done. Time to slide down into the monster pit. One thing I do love about this game is it takes some creative liberties. It made 2 levels out of something that was just a song and dance in the movie. The slide is long. Long. There was some cool scenery, but in the end, it just played exactly like the other slide levels, just a little more gross. Of course, they had to throw more lava in. Nice touch. Now, the regular level here is actually pretty cool. Another sort of unique enemy, some fun scenery, good music, and a couple new mechanics. It's levels like this one where I fight a unique enemy monster with a bunch of eyes, and I have to bowl him out, or ride a monster slithering back across lava and traverse through a monster's digestive tract, where I see the potential this game could have had if it were a bit more open-ended like Battle for Bikini Bottom and they worked on the mechanics a little more. Not saying this level doesn't have its problems, like the incessant use of the bowling ball over and over again instead of just basing one of the puzzles around something else, or the lack of visual and sound cues that reward you for doing a puzzle. Remember the ballroom in Battle for Bikini Bottom? At least watching the ball slowly roll over the whole mousetrap thing made it fun and rewarding by the end when you got to the end of the challenge. Or the ta-da sound when you completed a challenge. Things like this are needed, especially when the puzzles themselves aren't very interesting. I mean, come on. I'm already walking around in some monster's stomach and getting mucus spit at me while I gotta spin a wheel with the bowling ball 100 times. Can you at least give me a ta-da? Is that really too much to ask? Now we reach the next in a series of gimmick levels where Patrick needs to throw fruit. You know the best part about Battle is levels used all your abilities most of the time. They tried not to abuse the same mechanic over and over again. It feels like this game is always trying to introduce you to a new ability, but instead of then using it in meaningful ways or combining it with the other abilities you have, they just grind this one to the ground until you want to tear your hair out of boredom. I don't want to say it again, but I feel like this game has a lot of cool stuff to offer, but the devs were trying to live off the laurels of past successes and couldn't commit to making the linear game they wanted to make, so people thought the game would be more open like Battle, and also rushed the game out and threw a lot of things in just to pad for time. This game tries too hard to be like Battle for Bikini Bottom instead of just trying to be itself, and instead it ends up a cheap, linear, repetitive knockoff. Do I really have to continue to tell you how unexcited I am by the driving levels or slide levels? Chasing this Goober fuck around a level that would be more cool if it was a normal, unique thing in the game, riding around on hoses, destroying Cell City, fighting Dennis in 2 more repetitive boss fights that substitute the fun boss fights from Battle with different stages for just tossing a whole bunch of enemies at you while you fight them, backtracking again and again and again for increasingly egregious amounts of Goober tokens, just battling through the boredom of the ring and time challenges. I've already exhausted the amount of time I want to complain about that stuff, but the game just keeps doing it. The final levels are a slog through Planktopolis, where you have to keep wall jumping to progress through the level, but the mechanic never really works right. And you have to have lots of projectiles shot at you by different skins of the same enemies you fought thousands of times already. 50 Goober tokens, huh? Well, better go do those slides and driving levels I've been avoiding the whole game. I mean, it couldn't possibly be that I'm backtracking to do the longest driving level in the game, right?
Yo, wait. What are you doing?
You don't need a license to drive a sandwich.
Drive the sandwich that in the movie had been long gone by now, and should have been long gone in the game at this point too. And then fight in what may be one of the worst final boss fights I have ever had the displeasure of playing. I cannot begin to describe how bad the boss fights are in this game. King Neptune is a joke and he gets defeated by tables. But instead of an extremely cool and unique final boss fight that challenged you on every mechanic you learned in the game, like Battle for Bikini Bottom had in fighting Robo-Sponge and then disabling him from the inside, you get to flip tables while the same generic enemies spit at you until you deflect Neptune's trident back at him. This fight is long, repetitive, boring, and has a disappointing payoff, which I think is the perfect metaphor for SpongeBob the movie video game. Wow, that was way worse than I thought it was going to be. The nostalgia completely wore off the first time I got in the paddy wagon. I guess part of growing up is discovering that things aren't always as good as we remember them being when we were kids. And when you really take a step back to look at the Spongebob Squarepants movie game, it doesn't live up to its predecessor. But you can never take away the memories the game gave you. Huddle up around the CRT, taking turns with your siblings while you're trying to get through those horrendously difficult ring challenges. You'll always have that, whether or not the game is good. Well, I'm glad that's over. I wonder if there are any other licensed video games we could play.